Good morning, Wabash. Today, speaking at the Pioneer Chapel is alumnus John Castro with his talk entitled, Wabash, Words of Wisdom. John Castro graduated from Wabash College in 1997 with an English and Spanish double major. While at Wabash College, he was a member of Beta Theta Pi and the Sphinx Club. After a short stint as a full-time substitute Spanish teacher in Chicago and time spent as a first mate aboard the Spirit of Chicago, he found his way into the complex financial world of the Chicago Stock Exchange in 1998. He worked for the Chicago Stock Exchange through 2000, at which point he joined Engelman Securities, then the largest institutional stock brokerage on the Chicago Stock Exchange floor. After leaving Engelman in 2004, he joined Cheevers & Company and became a senior trader and vice president in 2018. In 2018, he was also hired by a competing institutional brokerage firm, Fogg Equities, as a managing director and has been there ever since. John is married with 2 daughters and resides in Munster, Indiana. He has served as president of the Security Traders Association of Chicago, the president of the Mount Carmel High School Alumni Association, and currently serves as a member of the Mount Carmel Finance Committee. After winning his first election in 2016, he was reelected this past November and is serving his second term as a member of the Munster School Board. He has maintained a passionate connection to Wabash College via the Wabash Club of Chicago and through various mentorship and speaking opportunities over the past 10 years. Please join me in welcoming John Castro.
Thank you all very much. So I was told it was cool to take the mask off, so there we go. Good morning. Thank you so much, guys, for this opportunity. Look at this. It turned out to be a nice day. I wasn't sure when I wrote this. I said, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you today in this beautiful place on this beautiful day. And I wasn't sure if it was going to be a not-so-beautiful day or a beautiful day, but sun is out right now, so beautiful day it is. As mentioned, my name is John Castro. I graduated in 1997, and I was indeed an English and Spanish double major. I didn't necessarily walk in on day one with that double major in mind. Actually, like many of you guys, I came in here and I knew I was pre-med all the way. And that was until that first bio test, and then that was kind of the end of that. But I discovered with the help of my advisor, the great John Fisher, that there were other paths to success at Wabash and in life that didn't go through the labs of the science buildings. So I embraced all that I could from English and Spanish, from literature and grammar and the culture of Spanish-speaking countries, and I did exactly what you would expect. I went to work in the financial industry. I'm currently a managing director for Fogg Equities, a small institutional brokerage in Chicago. I'm sure my team is limping through yet another super busy day, now down a guy, so I have to give them a quick shout out for allowing me to leave the desk today in order to have this opportunity to regale all of you with my baloney. So thank you to those guys. So actually, as things turned out, I'm not surprised that I embraced life as an English and Spanish double major. I've often marveled at the power of words, written, spoken, sung, it doesn't matter. Through different languages and dialects and codes and messages, we found our ways to share our thoughts, to get our points across to one another. The words we use represent not only our ability to communicate, but also to persuade, to empower, to embolden, and to inspire. It's all possible, thanks to the way we use our words. For whatever reason, when I think about how words can be used for persuasion, I can't help but think about the idea of marketing. The concept of marketing works hand in hand with the power of words. I suppose marketing has really been around in some form or another since the dawn of humankind. Since time immemorial, somebody has been trying to convince somebody else to do something different or buy something new. Many times, this persuasion arrives via a nifty catchphrase or a memorable motto. It's all just a jingle to make you buy more stuff. Sometimes, though, it's not just another proverbial snake oil salesman trying to convince you to act now while supplies last. Sometimes people put their heart and soul into marketing campaigns in order to capture the essence of an experience. Sometimes that motto or buzzword really resonates and becomes part of our lexicon. Sometimes a saying comes along that defines a movement. I say all this because a common thread through almost every single Wabash story, including my own, and I hope you guys too, reflects upon at least one of the powerful sayings or mottos or lyrics or even regulations that have become part of Wabash lore. Those virtues might sound like marketing fluff to some, but the reality is they are teachers of life lessons and have truly taken on the mantle of Wabash words of wisdom. I'm hoping that some of those sayings are dancing through your heads right now, the words that make up the gentleman's rule, or referring to somebody as some little giant. Maybe the chant, Wabash always fights. It's a chant, right? Cheer? Is it a cheer? Is it a chant? I'm gonna go with chant. I don't know if cheer is the right word, but I'll go chant. Perhaps some of the lyrics to Old Wabash or the alma mater, or maybe it's the words of the mission statement. Even the moniker that describes our beloved mascot, the Little Giant, means so much more than the name of our sports teams. That right there is some powerful stuff. Who knows? Maybe those are just marketing machine mottos that have been drilled into the heads of the Wabash faithful since they received that first piece of marketing material in the mail, paper or electronic. Go to wabash.edu right now, and the words you'll see are, "We might be the best school in America," and "High value, high reward." Holy cow, sign me up, man. That's all I needed to hear. Uh-oh, did we all get lured to Crawfordsville thanks to some fancy words written on a website in really large font? I mean, look around. All of us are here thanks simply to a great marketing campaign, right? I guess so. How else would we end up at a small, all-male college in the middle of a flyover state? Obviously, it takes a little more than that, but you got to start somewhere. Let's be honest. I'm sure the recruiting department can assure us that it's no easier to convince men to attend the college here now than it was in the past. I'm sure it's a little tougher. The leadership in the recruiting department tells us that we have to do everything we can to let people know about this awesome place, including, apparently, employ a strict adherence and devotion to the art of bow tie wearing. Outside of fine neckwear, though, of course, some Class A marketing language is in order to hopefully catch a prospective student's eye. Fortunately, the founders of the college were forward thinkers and knew what they would be up against almost 200 years into the future in the age of newfangled machines. I'm convinced that once upon a time, some of the greatest Wabash minds of yesteryear gathered in a secret room in Center Hall, decked out in their finest tweed jackets, with elbow patches, of course, and studious-looking spectacles, harumping with tobacco pipes in hand, all to argue the virtues of which sounded better. Wabash fights always, or no, Wabash always fights. What say you, Mr. Caleb Mills? I saw that in an Instagram story, so I know it has to be true. I'm sure I'll receive a stern talking to by all of you members of the Sphinx Club as soon as I'm done here, as I'm confronted for my clearly great historical inaccuracies. Honestly, maybe some of those Wabash words of wisdom started off as pure marketing ideas, or behavioral codes, or mission statements, or simply the creative words of a journalist that resonated and stuck around forever. And maybe some of those statements are still just that, words that serve to market or create rules. Yeah, maybe, but so what? That doesn't make them any less powerful or meaningful, especially to those who know Wabash College. The origins don't detract from the fact that those powerful words have shaped many a Wabash experience. The gravity of many of these statements didn't really hit me until after commencement. Don't get me wrong, they were always meaningful and important, but sometimes the real aha moment didn't hit me until later in life. I can think of no better example than the gentleman's rule. In all its simplistic glory, it has truly been a great guide in my adult life, even when I didn't realize it or chose not to follow it. Think about it. Think about the exact words. It's such a great guideline. The student is expected to conduct himself at all times, both on and off campus, as a gentleman and a responsible citizen. Talk about some powerful words. Have you guys ever stopped to consider how much trust you've been given as students to be granted that one sentence as the standard by which you should conduct yourself? It's really incredible, and you guys should be humbled by that awesome responsibility. You're being trusted to comport yourselves appropriately by asking yourselves that one simple question. Is this behavior representative of a gentleman and responsible citizen? And I know it's called the gentleman's rule. This is, after all, an all-men's college. But this is a rule that we should all follow, all the time. Being gentlemanly is about being chivalrous, courteous, and honorable. The idea of chivalry isn't about opening the car door for some damsel in distress. It's about being a good human being. That's a duty you are not relieved of upon graduation. That rule needs to follow you out of Wabash and into the rest of your life. It should follow you into your personal and professional lives. It should follow you as you become husbands and partners and fathers and leaders. It needs to be part of your soul, because being a gentleman is about so much more than just yourselves. Being a gentleman is about taking care of others. It's about life and work and family and friends and everyone that you choose to associate with. Trust me, when in doubt, follow the gentleman's rule, and I promise you will not go wrong. So we can be gentlemen, but that doesn't make us pushovers. We are fighters. We don't quit. That's why our gentlemen are represented by our vaunted mascot, the Little Giant. Our never say die attitude is reflected in that favorite of chants, Wabash always fights. What a great way to inspire our athletic teams, our Little Giants, and spur them on to victory. Those raucous shouts we scream at athletic events to help our boys give just a little bit more when they thought they had nothing more left to give. The power of those words, though, goes way beyond the athletic fields and into the classrooms and boardrooms and even living rooms of every single Wabash devotee. Never give up. Never forget you are a little giant. Because trust me, they've heard of that kid from the Ivy League school, but odds are they might be thinking, what's a Wabash college again? At the very least, that's usually the case if you're outside of the boundaries of our fine Hoosier state. So you never stop being a little giant. You never stop being underestimated or questioned or told, never heard of you. But you know what? That's great. I love that. Embrace that. Never let them see you coming. And that's what we do best. We know how to overcome challenges. And most importantly, we know how to outwork everybody else in the room. It really is about that little giant attitude. I'll never forget that fateful day in my very early 20s, fresh out of Wabash College, during a stint as a full-time substitute Spanish teacher. I was in the teacher's lounge. Another teacher who was known for her, shall we call it, directness and extremely inconsiderate personality, asked me if my parents were disappointed in what a failure I was, since I never chose to pursue a teaching degree and was stuck with a useless Bachelor of Arts degree and a pointless double major. I can't be too upset, I suppose, because that moment literally changed my life. I told her, "Thank you very much, lady," except I don't think I used the word thank in that instance. And immediately, I reached out to a contact at the Chicago Stock Exchange in hopes that he could help me find a job there. Even that ended up channeling my inner little giant, as that contact didn't hire me to work for his giant brokerage firm. That was Engelman Securities at that time, which was the biggest institutional brokerage firm on the Chicago Stock Exchange floor. No, instead, he helped me hook on with the exchange as a runner, making $7.68 an hour. Like a true Wabash man, though, I treated every day as an opportunity to prove to the world what it meant to be a little giant, and eventually worked my way up the ranks. I went from spot to spot, worked hard, firm to firm, and the rest, as they say, is history. A great footnote to that story, the guy who hired me, his name was Jerry Kellis. He had a son, Jimmy, who ended up going to Wabash and graduating, I think, in 2014. I'm not saying I had anything to do with it, but you never know. And the yin to that yang is always our mantra, Wabash always fights. We never quit. We never stop fighting. I love to get emails from fellow Wabash alums with the all caps WAF sign off at the end. We always fight till there's nothing left, and then we try and fight a little more and remind one another of that fact every time we communicate. It's one of those awesome secret handshake type of calling cards that only somebody associated with Wabash would understand. It's not the mark of a man, it's the mark of a Wabash man. It's not the rallying cry of somebody who went to college, it's the sign of somebody with ties to Wabash College. It's that virtual high five that will always let somebody know that you are in this fight until the bitter end, and that you have brothers who will stand shoulder to shoulder at your side. Talk about a fight. Man, this has been a pretty brutal year. I'm not going to dwell on the difficulties of this surreal past 12 months. I consider not even bringing it up because all things COVID have been so often discussed, and I'm sure you guys are tired of it. But in considering this idea for a chapel talk on what these Wabash words of wisdom have come to represent, I knew I had to take a moment to recognize all of the difficulties that you young men and our faculty and staff have dealt with. However you view this situation, it was absolutely extremely disruptive. It changed everything. It upended years of tradition. It caused major calamity. And that's to say nothing of the personal loss that many on campus have had to deal with. But this is yet another time that Wabash has showed resilience. We showed fight. The folks on campus worked through a challenging situation and are now hopefully in the last miles of the marathon. Ideally, this is the beginning of a new era because some things will be forever changed. But our Wabash family will continue to fight, as always, and work to be stronger than ever before. If our Wabash men were able to come back together literally after a civil war, they will certainly be able to get through this. We are strong, we are resilient, we fight. It's all part of the gift that Wabash has given us. I can think of no better way to describe it. It's like you get a little piece of the college's soul that you get to take with you after commencement, and it will pay dividends for the rest of your lives. It's not just the degree, it's not just the coursework, it's everything. It took me a while to fully understand and appreciate what that is and what it means, but now I get it. It's future, it's life, and it's self. It's Wabash and everything Wabash represents. Your coursework, your college experience, and the experience of those that have come before you. It's like a suit of armor. It's like an unfair advantage because it really can put you ahead of the game. You know more than other kids your age. You guys have likely have more work experience and have been to more places than most kids from other schools. If you can embrace this gift that Wabash has given you, you might find a level of success sooner than later. Let it be your guide. Let it shape your real-world experience. If you do that, I have no doubt it will lead you down the path toward success. You still have to work hard, though. Don't think for 1 second that just because you went to school here, jobs will fall from the skies and alums will be holding gladiator battles just for the chance to interview you once commencement is over. Let's be honest, guys, it's always a tough job market, especially right now. And I'm guessing that not all of you have found that career-type job opportunity yet. On the flip side, I'm sure there probably are a few guys in here that are poised to land one of those legendary six-figure gigs right out of the gate. That's awesome. Hopefully there's a bunch of you. But if not, no worries. All is not lost. Even for you guys who haven't locked down an idea for a career yet, these things take time to achieve. Just remember, play the game to the best of your ability, and the score will take care of itself. To me, that's what the idea of being a little giant is all about. This is how having the constant mindset that Wabash always fights can help shape the rest of your life. I'm sure you've all seen an article or even an email or heard of an honor being bestowed upon somebody with ties to Wabash and being referenced as some little giant. I truly hope you get the opportunity to hear those words someday. It's something to strive for. Like the gentleman's rule, the pursuit of being recognized as some little giant is something that can inspire you through the greatest of challenges. It's one of those reminders that helped me keep my head up through tough times. I was not what you would call a model student during my time here. I think I've spent more time in the library today than I did during my 4 years here as a student. All right, that might be a little bit of a stretch, but I really was not what you'd call an academic juggernaut. I still got out in 4 years, though. I never missed class, and I always absolutely paid attention. I just didn't put in the overtime necessary to really reach full potential at Wabash. I'm sure many of you already realize, unless you're going that extra mile, you likely are not knocking the cover off the ball. As a result, my Wabash career was coming, as my Wabash career was coming to a close, I didn't really feel like I had lived up to my full potential. I didn't take advantage of opportunities to see exhibitions and art installations and hear speakers that the college so graciously provided, and I didn't work as hard as I should have. I got out with a B- GPA, but I was capable of so much more. I remember not looking very forward to commencement, not thinking that I had much to celebrate. But I gotta tell you, in spite of all that, it was an amazing day, and truly one of the most memorable of my lifetime, certainly because it was an amazing commencement experience, but also because, partly due to inclement weather, our ceremony was held indoors in the old pre-air-conditioned Chadwick Court, and I think it was like 112 degrees in there that day. I think I'm still sweating. It was brutal. Despite that, it was still an awesome experience. The second I was handed that sheepskin degree by then President Andrew Ford, I was beaming with pride. I realized what an accomplishment it was to graduate from this amazing institution. So no matter how your Wabash path has played out, when you cross the finish line, be proud on your day. Be proud of what you've learned and how you've grown. Be proud of what you've accomplished. It's awesome. Nobody can ever take that away from you. It was hard work and you earned it. Nobody else had comps. Nobody else had blue books or whatever you use now for every single test. Nobody had to read as much as you did or write as many darn papers or spend as many eye-bleeding hours studying or doing labs as you guys. All of that blood, sweat, and tears is represented in that degree, and that is what the Wabash gift is all about. You will have earned the right to be called a Wabash man. That is a very big deal because a Wabash man is a living, breathing example of everything the gentleman's rule embodies. So as you can imagine, I wasn't one of those legendary day one six-figure guys when I walked out of here. It took me some time to find my way, but I eventually found it. Still, I was a long way from earning the right to be called some little giant. That wouldn't happen until 2015 when I had the pleasure of being recognized as an Alumni Career Services Fellow. For years after I graduated, I didn't feel connected to the college. I came back and visited, but the gloss of commencement had worn off, and I was struggling to find my path. I didn't really have money to give, and I didn't feel like I had much to offer as an alum. It wasn't until a few years later that a young Wabash man named Yi Yuan Tiger Zuo approached me, looking to serve as an intern for the company I worked for at the time. He came aboard and worked as a summer clerk, and he had an awesome experience. That helped me realize that I love to coach and mentor. I'll never forget that he always called me boss, and he still does to this day, and told me I should go do a talk at Wabash College. I understood then that I could use my story and my successes and failures to help mentor students at Wabash. I finally understood what it meant when they say, do what you can to give time, treasure, or talent. That experience led me to connecting with the Schroeder Center for Career Development, doing talks for students, and finding various ways to mentor. I hope you guys never forget to find ways to give back to the college and to the next generation. Not only is it fulfilling to teach, but you get the opportunity to continue learning. It's amazing what you young guys can teach old guys like me. Share your gifts, give back, give till it hurts. That's how you become some little giant. So I hope that gives you students some reassurance. I'm living proof that hard work still pays off, and all is not lost if you aren't walking out of here with a 4.0 and triple distinction on comps. You might not realize, but you will be walking out of here with a leg up on the competition. I attribute a large part of my success and my ability to navigate through rough patches to my Wabash education. I've heard the same thing from countless times from other alums. My college experience shaped my life and my career. It has given me the confidence and the courage to overcome the adversities that I have faced. Earlier, I mentioned going to the college's website and seeing high value, high reward, plastered right there on the front page. Again, that might sound like some nice marketing language, but when you're here, you know that's the truth. It certainly ain't cheap to go to school here, but we are living proof that it's worth it. In order to achieve, you need to work. It takes perseverance, it takes grit, but the experience can be truly rewarding. When you consider the brotherhood, the friendships, the tradition, and the pride that comes from the work you put into Wabash, it truly results in that high reward. It's not one thing you learn or one life-changing professor or one life-changing class, although that's certainly a part of it. It's about the combination of those things that come together to provide you a reward like no other. Consider my situation. One might rightfully question how an English and Spanish double major translates into a career in the finance industry. The reality is, right out the gate, it did not, at least not directly. But I used what I learned in a more general sense and worked hard to learn on the fly. That harkens directly to the mission statement: think critically, act responsibly, lead effectively, and live humanely. That's what you learn here. You learn to think, you learn to communicate, you learn to be responsible and to work hard. For years, the idea of liberal arts became less and less desirable as a greater focus on specialization became de rigueur. But employers started discovering that our guys from Wabash were capable of so much more. Our math majors could do more than just super hard math. They could actually have interesting conversations with people. Our physics majors could manage and lead successful teams. Our religion majors could help elect presidents. Our philosophy majors could create software companies. And our English and Spanish double majors could become managing directors of brokerage firms. These are the things we learn here. These are the ways in which these marketing campaigns prove themselves to be truer than most people realize. We learn, we think, we act, and we give back. That very attitude has led to me embracing service to the community in various ways. I've served as the president of my high school alumni association and still currently serve on the finance committee. I've played drums for the praise band and served on various committees at my church. In 2016, I decided to try and serve my community by running for and winning a spot on the school board in Munster, Indiana. I'm currently in my second term as I was reelected this past November, and I have done what I can to give of my time, talents, and treasure to Wabash College. And what about our fight song, Old Wabash? It might seem hard to think that you will have such an affinity for this place as to refer to it as Dear Old Wabash, especially you seniors who just got done with comps not so long ago. Believe the hype on that one, eh, boys? Comprehensive examinations are no joke. But there is one line in those lyrics that always struck a chord with me. Thy loyal sons shall ever love thee. That goes beyond the sentiment of affinity for our dear old hallowed halls of higher learning. This is about more than hearkening back to memories of a beautiful campus with rich history and gorgeous brick buildings. This line to me, especially now as an alum, speaks to our loyalty to Wabash as a brotherhood. Our loyal sons speaks to me about the strength of our alumni network. Again, more marketing material on the front page of the website. #1 in best alumni network. But we all know that's the absolute truth. Talk about, I got a guy. We all know Wabash College alumni who are doctors, lawyers, mathematicians, poets, philosophers, chefs, brewers, distillers, artists, and writers, just to name a few. You young bucks want help? You just say the word. We will make it happen. When one of us needs help, the crew comes running to assist in any way possible. It doesn't matter who you are or when you graduated. I'll never forget walking off the Chicago L train Blue Line one day while wearing a Wabash College shirt, and a guy seeing me and shouting over the crowd, "Yo, did you go to Wabash?" I said, "Yes, sir," to which he responded, "Cool, me too." And I gave him my card as we passed, and we connected. Next thing you know, I'm becoming friends with Luke Robbins. Or the time I attended a dinner for a Chicago area alums and current students, and I met a headstrong soccer player named George Viniakis, whose parents loved the college dearly and treat everyone like family, as evidenced by the epic tailgate parties featuring a whole spit-roasted lamb and food for about 500 of their closest friends. I came to develop a great relationship with George and even became somewhat of a mentor to him. I've had the pleasure of attending Viniakis' family events where I always see a crew of Wabash men, and you guessed it, more food than one neighborhood could possibly consume. I'll tell you what, man, if you ever get the pleasure of being invited to one of their family parties, they don't send you home with a small plate of food. They send you home with one of those big, giant banquet hall pans full of food for the rest of your family. But anyway, once again, I had a great opportunity to connect with an alum. Another time, I was at the gym and saw a guy in a Wabash sweatshirt, and I asked him, "Hey, are you an alum?" He said, "No, my brother goes there." He told me his brother's name, and a few weeks later, after reaching out to some folks in career services, I'm having brunch with this kid, another Wabash guy named Gabriel Anguiano. We are always networking and always looking for ways to help one another out. Whether it's a job opportunity or an introduction, we are always on the lookout. One of my most impactful connections came through a meeting of the Wabash Club of Chicago. During one of the alumni networking events, I crossed paths with a gent by the name of Tim Trella. Tim graduated in the early 70s, I think class of 72, but that generation gap didn't matter. Even across generations, we still had plenty in common and somehow what felt like shared experiences at Wabash. Tim became a mentor to me and was instrumental in giving me strength to take a new job. Last year, a gentleman who was very involved with Wabash wrestling named David Miller started an informal mentoring program that paired wrestling alums with incoming freshman wrestlers. Because of that, I've forged a relationship with a current student named Chris Merrill that has been truly rewarding. It's amazing how the cycle continues. This is the love and dedication to Wabash that thy loyal sons are showing every single day, not to these buildings, but to all that Wabash College represents. So in the end, those attention-grabbing statements end up on a webpage or in a song or in a piece of marketing material. But are they just words? Are they just ad campaign fluff with no substance? Are they just lines you sing after a touchdown? Are they all sizzle and no steak? No, no way. Not here, not at Wabash. Words are powerful, and the words that are chosen for a reason. That's why they resonate. That's why they endure. That's how and why these are life lessons and Wabash words of wisdom. That's why Wabash College little giants always fight. That's why we strive to be some little giant. That's why we are loyal sons and why we are inspired to think critically, act responsibly, lead effectively, and live humanely, all the while conducting ourselves at all times, both on and off campus, as gentlemen and responsible citizens. Thank you.